Okay, welcome back. In this episode, I'm gonna add the option to set a rigid body to a kinematic body. A kinematic body is a body which doesn't move, which just moves when I'm saying it to move. Like when I press the arrow keys, that it's gonna move in a static, um, um, like in a static movement. Like, when I say, okay, it's gonna have this velocity, and this velocity will only change when I say it to change. Um, there's no integration part for kinematic bodies. And yeah, they are not like the gravity does not affect kinematic bodies. They are just static bodies, basically. But they do interact with other bodies with the collision. The static bodies just stay static and they don't move. Yeah. Um, what we're gonna do now is in the rigid body class, I'm gonna say first that the mass will have a default value of 1. And then after this dot mass, I'm gonna say this dot kinematic. Kinematic. Or wait, I'm gonna say is kinematic. This dot is kinematic. Set it to false default. And if the mass is equal to 0 or it's smaller than 0, then I'm gonna say this dot is kinematic is true. Okay, and that's already it for the rigid body class, because if the inverse mass is 0, we don't need to check it in the integration, because if the inverse mass is 0, it's not gonna move anyway, because like in here the force accumulator is multiplied with the inverse mass. The inverse mass will be 0, so the force accumulator will be 0 too, so that means the acceleration will be 0. And that's it. The only thing which moves is if the rigid body, or if the kinematic body has a velocity, which we can set by ourselves, then it's gonna move. But it will have a static velocity, which we are gonna control. Or we can also animate it, for example. That's also possible. All right. Also, I want to change something in the collision manifold. And here I'm gonna do a check too. And I think I can do it anywhere I want. Well, I'm gonna say it like right here. If this dot Richie A dot is kinematic, and this dot Richie B is kinematic, then we say we're gonna return. So that means here we are preventing the division by 0, right? If the invert mass sum is 0, then we get a problem right here, and here we're gonna prevent this. All right, and now I can set the weight again to 0, and it still should work fine. So let's go back to the browser, check if it's working. It's still working, that's nice. And let's throw in another rectangle into the big one, and it still works. All right, cool. Note that if I press the other arrow keys, the big shape doesn't move. Okay, cool. All right, that's already everything for this episode. In the next one, I'm gonna add the boundaries back, the bounciness, and the gravity. Okay, then see you then. Bye bye.